Good morning, YouTube. Welcome to the Resolution King, aka your real estate solution king. Today I have a very special guest, my co-worker, Miss Linda Glavin, which she works for Watson Title, and we're going to talk and have an interesting conversation. So, without further ado, Linda Glavin, how you doing?
Hi, good. Thank you for having me this morning. I really appreciate it. This is an exciting
Yeah.
thing for me. Yay.
And Linda, I want to first tell you thank you for being on the
Absolutely.
channel and really bringing something to value. It's really what I strive to do on this channel is to solve problems or even give people information to make them think so they're not in bad situations.
Right.
So how about you tell the people how long have you been doing title?
So I've been with Watson Title for about 2.5 years now and kind of roundabout got into it. Real estate is really in my blood.
Okay.
I love all aspects of it, and being on the title side really has given me a different approach on being able to provide a service
Okay.
that people don't normally think of when they think of real estate. And it's the part that helps protect them, gets their transactions closed.
Okay. So why or how did you get into title?
Well, I got into it because I was a realtor.
Okay.
Things kind of evolved, and I had a broker that said, "Linda, I think you'd be really good on this side of the business. That you really your knowledge of real estate and engagement with people and being able to communicate, and I think you'll be able to be of great service in this area." And I
Okay.
thought, wow, I don't know, but then once I got into it, I said, yes, I love this.
Okay, awesome. Well, we're glad to have you here as a title person, and I know you're very knowledgeable of what goes on in title. But I want to get down to some questions so we can give the people some meat and potatoes.
Okay.
So my first question is going to be, why is a title search important?
Well, um, title searches is kind of like the first thing you need to do. It gives you the history of the property. It lets you know who's owned it before you. It ensures that the ownership rights have passed through correctly, appropriately, to ensure that there's nothing back there that prevents you from owning the property that you're trying to buy.
Okay. Now I know sometimes from experience with
Mhm.
investors, and they say, well, I don't need that. That's not going to be an issue for me. I bought it. I'm paying cash.
Right.
I own it outright. Is that necessarily the case?
Um, in cash transactions and for investors, true. They're usually in a hurry. They just want to own the property. And most times they assume there's nothing on the back end.
Yeah.
But I always say it doesn't hurt. You should have it, even an investor, because they don't really know who they're buying it from. They're all, it's not that it happens a lot, but you never know until you search, because there could be a problem with liens on the property that they're not aware of, that people might not go, hey, yes, I have this lien on my property that I've been avoiding all these years.
Okay.
Or that, oh, yes, my parents died and I have it now, but I have to split this with cousins all over the world, and you can't close until you find out who all those people are that have rights to the property, and they all have to agree.
Okay. So now that you've said that, I got another question. Let's
Okay.
give us an example of maybe something that's happened. Of course, you don't have to say the names,
Of
but
course.
but
Protect the
yeah,
innocence there.
yeah. But maybe a story of something that kind of happened where we can
Yes.
get that real life experience.
Okay. So in real estate, in title business, there's always stories.
Yeah.
Okay. And just when you think everything is normal, it's not normal. So I will just say, like today, for
Mhm.
example, easy peasy. Like we do the lien search. They own the property, it transferred correctly. However, the deed was not um, worded correctly.
Okay.
Like every state is different. Florida is a homestead state,
Okay.
meaning actual verbiage has to be included in the deed that says either John Smith and Susan Smith are a married couple, or is
Okay.
it Susan Smith, a single woman, and
Okay.
John Smith, a single man? We have to establish the homestead of the property
Okay.
before it sold. So this particular couple sold the property to the current owners and everything's fine. But when we do the lien search, we look at the old deed and it wasn't worded correctly, right?
Okay.
Because it didn't establish the homestead of the property.
Okay.
So now what we have to do to give him clear ownership before he passes it on to someone else is we have to do a corrective deed, meaning we will go through the trouble of preparing a correct deed. We just got to reach back out to those folks and go, hey, I just need you to sign the corrected deed.
Okay.
We'll get it notarized, and then we file that along with the other closing documents. Not a big deal, but it's just one of those unusual things that's out there.
Okay. So now that you've done all that, explain to the people the title insurance.
Okay, title insurance. I get that a lot. People go, what is title insurance and what do we do with it? You know, so here's the basic nutshell of title insurance and why it's a good idea. So first of all, it protects your financial interest in the home that you just purchased.
Okay.
Okay, because it's probably the largest investment that you're going to make in your life,
That
right?
is true.
So the title insurance, like you buy car insurance, you buy life insurance, you buy your homestead, insurance. It's title insurance, meaning it protects your property. So it protects things against like title defects, like I just mentioned with the deed thing. If the deeds aren't filed correctly or there's not correct verbiage on them. Sometimes there's a death in the family and then we have to document that this person is deceased. We actually have to make sure death certificates are filed along with, because we have to show that there's not a person still alive out there that can have ownership to this property.
Okay.
So we have to document everything. Or there's trusts, we have to make sure trusts are documented appropriately and recorded appropriately and stuff. We always have to make sure everything is done appropriately before the next person gets it, so there's not a problem. And then also the title insurance protects you. Let's just say we do all of our homework, but then a lien pops up that even with all of your research, sometimes things show up. Maybe they're in the middle of it and no one knew it, and then it happens afterwards or something. So a new lien comes on. So that helps protect them against that. And then people don't realize that mortgages are considered a lien, right? So we always have to clear those. People sometimes forget they're called HELOCs, the home equity lines of credit. They're like, oh, but that's just my line of credit. It has nothing to do with my property. Well, it actually does, because your property they put a lien on your property to make sure that you pay that HELOC. So we have to make sure those are paid off as well. Sometimes people think that has nothing to do with it, but it does. And then there's things like contractor's liens. Let's say you had a roof put on years ago and you paid them and everything, but they never finished the paperwork that said you actually paid them. So if you don't, we have to finish that off doing a final contractor's affidavit to ensure they never come back and put a lien on your property because they get mad for some reason or whatever, who knows, right? Or, someone forgets to pay someone. Contractors can put a lien on your property, so we make sure those are cared for.
Just hearing you say that, have you had any instance where, maybe a homeowner's going to sell their home and they ran into one of those issues and they never knew that a contractor had put a lien on their home?
Yes. We have. And so when that has happened, of course, the sellers are caught off guard, but then what they can do is they can go back through their records. They can have a proof of receipts that they've paid, whatever, because sometimes it's a matter of just paperwork. The contractor just forgets, or who knows? So things happen. We just never know. Things happen. But then we immediately have to go through the process of correcting it, reaching out to whoever the contractor is and go, were you actually paid? And what do we need to do to correct it? We've had to, sometimes they've been in a situation where attorneys are also involved. So then we have to communicate with the attorneys and say, okay, what is due? How much is it going to take to pay off this lien? And then we have to pay that off as a part of the sale of the home. Yes.
Well, awesome. Well, I really do thank you for your time today. I've learned a lot, and I hope you have learned a lot too. But Miss Linda Glavin, Watson Title. So if you have any other questions for her, you'll be able to email her. I will put her contact information in the description. But I want to say thank you, Miss Linda, for your time. And just to I always like to make it light at the end. So I always like to ask this question.
Okay.
What is something that people don't know about Linda that you want people to know about you as a person?
Wow. Okay. I wasn't prepared for that. Um,
Could be anything. It could be something you enjoy doing. It
okay.
could be
Well, I have a lot of hobbies, but I truly love cooking.
okay.
And I've taught my children to cook, and
Okay.
that my mother taught me to cook, and our family cooks. So that is our special family time.
Okay.
So any gatherings, birthdays, holidays, whatever we're celebrating, it's always with food, and it's who's
Oh,
going to make this and who's going to make that, and oh, don't forget that favorite.
okay.
I have a recipe, a cheesecake recipe that all my daughters, everyone's made
Nice.
for the last 35 years. We've been making the same chocolate chip cheesecake.
Well, hey, I'm a cheesecake type of guy. Now, so what's your what's your favorite dish?
I am half Asian,
Okay.
so uh, and I grew up eating soup, so I will say the pho soup is my favorite go-to.
Okay.
If I feel good, if I'm happy or anything, it's like, ooh, a nice bowl of soup just does it for me.
Nice, nice. Well, hey, YouTube, please hit like or subscribe to the channel. Uh, we're going to be bringing more people like Linda who are experts in the industry, who care about people, who want to keep you out of bad situations. So please tune in to my next video. Real Estate Solution King, aka your Real Estate Solution King, bringing solutions to your real estate problems, whether you're buying, selling, or investing in real estate. Until next time, y'all be blessed.